Hey everyone, welcome back to our weekly episode of How to Finance a Vehicle When You Are in Canada. I once again have Lovell here with me. He's going to be helping me answering some questions and explaining a few things on how credit works when financing a vehicle. So anyways, you have come to realize that while you're in Canada, maybe you have a lack of public transport and you're in need of transportation. So you need to look for a vehicle. Especially around winter time, if you don't have that access to public transport, you do not want to be walking in the winter, especially if you're new to it. It's a big shock. It's cold. It's very cold. I've been here for over 20 years and I still think winter's cold.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, also too, if without that public transport, maybe you're worried that you're not going to make it to work on time. Or, you know what, maybe you also just need a vehicle to travel and you're just looking at getting around, going and seeing things, or just making your life easier with having a vehicle instead of having to rely on that public transport. So, credit is important when it comes to financing a vehicle in Canada. So today we're going to explain how your credit or credit score is directly applies to financing a vehicle. In the previous video, we have mentioned that having a high credit score gives you a stronger chance of getting approved. So anyways, we'll start asking the questions and having Lovell here give me a hand and helping you folks. So Lovell, if you have a high credit score, what does that do for you when you go to finance a vehicle?
Well, Chris, if you have a higher credit score, it can help improve the terms and condition you qualify. Just like, for example, like Ford Credit has a interest rate of a 0% interest rate, and then because you're having a higher credit score, then you will qualify on the terms and conditions.
Nice.
Because you've got a higher credit score, and then that's how lender sees or determine your credit.
Okay. Right, so basically, if you have a high credit score, you have a chance of getting the better interest rate or even the best interest rate.
Yeah.
And you get better terms to choose from as well for your length of the loan and et cetera, et cetera.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, great. So, what happens then if your score is not as high? Let's say, your credit score is not here, it's here.
Yeah. So we can still work on that one if you don't have that great, or shall we say, high credit score. But then there are some conditions that the lender will basically need to give to the borrower itself. Like, shall we say, they might need a co-signer. A co-signer, what a co-signer is just like the same obligation to a buyer. So, or probably they need a money or a cash down for that matter.
Understandable. So it's kind of based on trust, right? It's like the higher your credit score is, the more trust that the lender or the banks would have giving you that loan or that amount of cash.
That's correct.
Excellent.
So it's just like how the lender determine the risk of the loan that you're getting into.
That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, higher credit, less of a risk of it going bad, etc., etc. Okay, so and I guess as well, so are you able to finance a vehicle without having any credit at all? Is that possible?
Well, that's possible, Chris, especially if we do have some programs, especially for Ford Credit. We do have programs for first-time buyer, but we still need some, probably Ford will give us some conditions, like, like the co-signers, or probably a cash down, or there's lots of options that we can help out with those people just new to the country and, just wanted to get into a vehicle.
Okay, excellent. All right, so you mentioned a couple conditions that may come up when you go to apply for a vehicle. One of them is the cash down or money down, which is just a little bit of a lump sum of amount of dollars, cash that you give towards the lender. But the co-signer, what is the definition of a co-signer?
Well, a co-signer is just like a person will help out the main buyer or the primary buyer but the obligation and the responsibility of the buyer is the same responsibility a co-buyer or a co-signer
would have, right?
would
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Okay, so basically, like, if I was, say, signing a loan for you,
Mhm.
I would have the exact same responsibilities as what you would have. So in case if you don't make the payment, I am having to make that
Yes,
payment.
that's right. So it's just like if I am going to get into a loan for $45,000,
Mhm.
so as a co-buyer, you still have the same amount that a buyer.
Awesome, awesome.
yeah.
Okay, so that seems pretty easy. That makes sense. I guess that really covers about how credit really applies to financing a car here in Canada. Next week we're gonna go more into detail to about how to apply for financing a vehicle if you are new to the country. So if you've never applied for a vehicle before, if you're a little bit nervous, you know, this is new to you for being in Canada, me and Lovell will cover that next week for you so that all your questions should be answered.
Yeah, probably we can also add on the debt to income ratio on that matter, Chris, for
Yeah.
the next video,
Yeah.
so that people will understand how important is the debt to income ratio
Definitely.
and what's the ideal debt to income ratio is.
That sounds like a good idea. All right, folks, we will see you next week. Thank you all again for tuning in. Make sure to share this video with your friends, your family, or anyone that you know that may have some of these questions or that may be looking for a vehicle and can use some help. Make sure to follow us on our social media pages, you know, right here on Facebook. We are also on Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube. And of course, if you have any questions, please come on down to Royal Ford here in Yorkton, Saskatchewan, and we are more than happy to assist you.